We were anticipating a NAFTA agreement between two countries, but it's not really a NAFTA agreement until Canada gets involved, right?
That is correct. The president has talked about a bilateral agreement, but Mexico and Canada have agreed they want a trilateral agreement. So now the devil is in the details. We know that the U.S. has reached some sort of agreement with Mexico on local content, how much of a car has to be made, car or truck, has to be made in the United States. 75% seems to be the working assumption, although we haven't got the final details yet. In exchange, Mexico has agreed to raise the level of pay for workers who are working on these cars to at least $16 an hour. Good news for Canada and the United States. The idea, make Mexico a little bit less competitive. We're waiting to find out what the deal is on the sunset clause, which is one of the big sticking points among all three countries, whether or not the NAFTA agreement will be scrapped every 5 years. The other two countries have opposed the administration's call for that to happen. And there are several other areas in which we don't have details. Procurement is a big one. How much of U.S. government, Canada government, Mexico government buying can be steered to other countries? How much can they bid on? And dispute resolution, which is a big deal with Canada. If there is a trade dispute, in the current deal, it's handled under arbitration. The U.S. wanted to scrap that. The Canadians in particular were very strong on keeping it, so we'll have to see what happens with that.
So some procedural sticking points potentially still, but also some sticking points in certain sectors. There was a sticking point about the dairy sector, for example. Also, the Mexicans wanted freer language on the energy industry and what foreign investment could go into energy in Mexico. Yeah,
the energy part is an interesting component because it looks like it's sort of a side deal. The U.S., well, Mexico, first of all, has liberalized Pemex. It's not completely unnationalized, but they're allowing more foreign investment in energy exploration in Mexico. And the U.S. was worried that with the new administration coming in, AMLO's administration coming in December, that could change some of the, he would want to change some of the contracts or abrogate some of the contracts if he brought the government more back into Pemex, which was one of his campaign promises. And the chief negotiator for the incoming administration, Jesus Sead, apparently worked out a side deal with the U.S. on that would protect U.S. energy investments in Mexico. The dairy issue with Canada, they're nowhere on that. They have to make some progress on that to get the Canadians into this. The U.S. wants the Canadians to eliminate their dairy tariffs that effectively block much of U.S. dairy products from going into Canada. A lot of it is specific to something called unfiltered milk, which is probably more than you want to know. But there is definitely an issue there that has to be fixed.
So, Mike, how much pressure does this put on Canada? And is it possible that the U.S. is willing to just go along with just a Mexico deal and leave Canada behind?
Well, the president has talked about just a U.S.-Mexico deal. Mexico has talked about keeping Canada in. And it would be enormously complicated for American businesses if it were only a bilateral treaty with Mexico, and there is not a equal language because of the way supply chains have developed. We could go back to a previous bilateral agreement with Canada that was abrogated by the NAFTA treaty, but that still leaves you with different rules. And of course, that agreement was from the 1980s and is completely outdated, so that wouldn't help business very much. The real question that you nailed is how much pressure does this put on Justin Trudeau and the Canadians? They are against the wall politically, given all of the insults that Donald Trump has hurled at Trudeau and the Canadians and the deteriorating trade relationship between the two countries. Trudeau doesn't want to be seen as giving in. So there could be tough negotiations ahead. And the idea that you could get this done by the end of the week, which is the Trump administration's goal, seems very out of reach at this point.